dear brothers and sisters, many times we are affected by what is happening around us. We're human beings, and so even though we think we are very calm and very collected and nothing affects us, the outside environment has a tremendous effect on us. And many times we succumb to the environment and we go in a down spiral if things are not working well, and we're uplifted if things seem to be going the way we want them to be. Even though we might feel that nothing affects us, but we find that most people are affected by what is happening around them. The key to life is not to be affected by what is happening in your surroundings, but to learn from it, to gain from it, understand what is happening, and see if there is any spiritual significance to what is happening. Everything that happens around us has a spiritual significance. Many times we are unable to look at the positive side of that experience, and we start to feel, especially if something's going wrong, as if it will never get better. And there's nothing to gain except for sorrow and pain and turmoil. But what is very interesting is that any activity that you experience yourself in, any environment that you find yourself in, there's always a spiritual meaning, some guidance to us if we get to the depths of what we experience, which would focus our attention on our true goal. As an example, recently, I'm sure many people here in North America, saw the solar eclipse. People traveled from many other places to get to areas where it was talked about that you will be able to see the solar eclipse very nicely. And many people flew, many people left what they're doing and got into position, checked into hotels or came with family members or friends to be in those areas from where they could watch the solar eclipse. I'm sure they sat much before the time that the solar eclipse was going to start and started looking at the sun and trying to watch it. And they watched it very attentively. And at that time, nothing else was distracting them. Their attention was totally into being able to experience that happening that they thought might happen only very rarely. And so, irrespective of whatever else was happening in their life, they took their time to focus on this one very special incident. And they saw that the moon came, and the moon started to, like a sliver, first get over the sun, and everyone's walking very intently as the moon is getting more and more and more, covering the sun. And as the sun has been covered, things started to get dark. It looked like the night is coming by the time there was a total eclipse. Many people went through that experience. Now, if we look at the solar eclipse and we think it's a physical phenomena, and now today, because of scientific advancements, we can understand what that phenomena is. In the old times, when there wasn't any scientific proofs for how these phenomena happen, people used to have all kinds of stories as to why this is happening. And today we can understand that, and we can take that as a physical phenomena, just leave it at that. You can, tell our children and grandchildren, I watched this total solar eclipse. Or we can find out what could be a spiritual significance in this. And so before I try to explain what the spiritual significance is, I want to relate a story. Because sometimes the stories are, you're going to remember them more. than anything else. So this story comes from the past. And this story is also talking about a solar eclipse. And this happened in this one kingdom. And in the kingdom, all the people all of a sudden realized that the sun was being covered by something. And so it started to get darker and darker. And those were the times when communication was not that strong, or science was not that developed. And so they did not know beforehand that there's going to be a solar eclipse. Not as we know much before what is going to happen. But in those days, all of a sudden, you get up in the morning and you see the sun, and all of a sudden it's getting darker and darker and darker. And the people got very worried. Because most people like sunlight, very few people like darkness. So when things start to get dark, you feel something wrong. So they were very fearful, as if something bad has really happened. And so they complained to the king that it looks like that we must have done something wrong, that all of a sudden the sun is not happy with us. And something's happened to the sun. And you need to protect us because something bad is definitely going to happen. So the king calls his advisors and thinks of what should we do to calm everyone down. Because the king didn't know what is happening too. I mean, no science was available in those days. So they decided people are in turmoil, and if they're in turmoil, how do we get them off our backs? Because they're all coming now, hey, you do something, you do something, you do something. So they decided, let us give them something to do. So they get busy. And so they had a plan. They said, okay, they put out an announcement that everyone in this kingdom should take the next 30 days and they should figure out what happened. And they should come up with their theories. And after 30 days, there'll be a big meeting in the kingdom, and everyone should explain what they think has happened. And so everyone started getting very busy. Some were reading in the books, someone's going to, some knowledgeable people to find out what has happened. Some went to other kingdoms in the area to find out if they knew they'd seen something before. And so most people got very busy because the king also announced that the person who gives the best reason is going to be rewarded. So when you get a reward, you work hard. And so everyone is very busy for the next 30 days. There's some relaxation in that kingdom, and things are getting more to normal because as far as the king is concerned, people were not coming to him with problems because they're busy trying to figure out what had happened. So on the day when everyone was supposed to be gathered, and the king is sitting on the throne and he's got his advisors with him, and people are coming one by one, and they are giving their reasons. And so one person says, things are very bad. God is mad at us. And this is why in the day, God made it dark. And the other person comes and says, the sun is very unhappy. And so the sun doesn't want to give any more light to us. It says, I don't care, you can remain in the dark. And one after another, they're giving one reason or another. Someone's saying one thing, someone's saying another thing, and they're going one after another. And the king is thinking to himself, none of these reasons make any sense. How am I going to pick up the best one here? So they're going. All kinds of reasons are coming, and people are coming with very interesting reasons. As they're going, and the king is now finding that the line is getting smaller and smaller. And none of the reasons seem to make any sense to him. And then, at the end of the line, the king saw an older person who was walking very, very slowly. So when everyone ended, the last person came. And when the last person came, he said, I would like to tell you what this eclipse is all about. And the king says, yeah, tell me, I'm trying to see who is giving me the best reason for this eclipse. So the person says there's a spiritual meaning to the eclipse. So the king said, what do you mean a spiritual meaning? Because, the sun was out there, it got dark. And how can you explain that? So this elderly person said, the sun is God. You should think of the sun as God. And the sun is always lit up. It's always bright. It's always shining. It's always there. And you have to think about the eclipse that is coming, or the moon that is covering the sun, as your mind. Is the mind which through the process of thoughts is covering the brightness of the sun. So as the mind through its thoughts is putting distractions and covering the brightness of the sun, you are unable to experience the light that comes from the sun. But he says it's very interesting that when you watch the total eclipse of the sun, that state doesn't remain there forever. It goes away. Because the brightness of the sun is always there. So he told the king that the key is to understand that the solar eclipse is put up by God for all of us to realize that there's a purpose in life. And that purpose is to experience the light of the Creator, the light of God, the light which shines within each and every one of us. And he said, even though the mind is there and always send thoughts to you to distract you, but it doesn't mean that there will always be darkness. Darkness would be there for a certain time when distracted. But if you are able to still the mind, and if you are able to go to a state where the mind is not able to send any thoughts to you, then you'll see the light again, because the light is always shining. It's not that the light has gone away, just like there's a barrier which has come on the light. The light has been shrouded by this mind and its thoughts, and the brightness is not recognized by us. And so, as we try to understand that, we all know that God is not on the outside, God is within each and every one of us, and the light of God is within each and every one of us. Now we don't recognize it. We're like in a God eclipse. We don't experience God because of our mind and our thoughts. Because all day long we're so engrossed in the activities of this world that we don't focus on God. And so, just like when people came to see the solar eclipse, they dropped everything, their attention was there for many hours. They're watching very intently and nothing else is bothering them. They don't want to be distracted. Similarly, if we train ourselves, we can sit in silence, we can close our eyes, we can meditate properly, we can still our mind, and we are able to experience the light within. It might look like there's darkness as we start out, but with time and with practice we go beyond the darkness and the light is definitely there. So the key to life is not to be in pain because of the difficulties that this life brings to us, but to learn from that. Many times we all get a sickness or an illness and we feel that this is the end of our existence. Okay. But what we should realize is maybe that sickness or the illness came as to wake us up, to make us realize that this body is not going to function as we think it is all of our life. And to realize that the time that we have in the physical body is limited, let's put it to a good use and focus on our goals. So instead of focus on the sickness or the illness and think, why did it come to me, I'm in pain, I'm going to be difficulty, we should realize, hey, maybe it's telling me my time is limited, I should make good use of it and focus it on something positive. And when we do that, then we'll find that we will be able to overcome all difficulties of life. The physical body is not going to live forever, that we all know. Okay? But to be able to lead a life in which the physical body or our mental state or emotional state is not allowing us to take steps towards our spiritual goal, is not the kind of life we want to live. And what is very interesting is, it's a question of, let's say you have a line, and someone says, how do you make that line shorter? So you draw a bigger line in front of it, and the first one becomes shorter itself. So when you have some pain, you need to bring some joy into your life. You need to bring some happiness into your life. When there's darkness, you need to bring some light into your life. And this is what happens as we meditate. When we meditate and we're able to connect with the divine light within, there are many researches that have happened in the last few years which are telling us that if you're in pain and as you meditate, then to you it looks like the pain has gone away because you are tuned into an arena which is more full of love, which is more joyous, which is more blissful. And as you focus in that arena, then the pain itself is getting lesser and lesser and lesser because you've gone into an arena which is joyous and happy for you. And life needs to be lived in that manner. And we should not be fearful of anything because God has sent us here, God is with each and every one of us. And God is always there to take care of us in all kinds of situations. And we should know that the big hand of the Lord is always there to support us through all the difficult states we are going through. And as our faith in God is strengthened, as we experience God. We can read about God, we can hear about God, but unless we experience God, our belief isn't that strong enough. Our faith is not there. So faith only comes in when we experience God. And the experience of God, the experience of the true primal manifestations of God, that being the divine light and divine sound, come in when we meditate, when we go within. So the key is to be able to truly understand that this is a very special gift of God, that we are alive in this physical existence, in the human body. This is not like, you don't get it every day. It's a very special occasion. And this is, God has given us this gift. We need to make use of it. And the best use of our life is to be one with God, is to know God, to find a connection with God. So let's just meditate for a few minutes, because that's the mechanism by which we can still ourselves, we can still our thoughts, so that the darkness in front of the light within goes away. We can experience the light, and the sunlight nourishes us, it nourishes our soul, so that we get more joyous, we get more happier, and our journey towards our goal, which is to be one with God, is then going to come rapidly for us. So please close your eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. Your eyeballs should be straight, as if you focus 8 to 10 inches in front of you. As you close your eyes, those of you who have been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, please do Simran. And those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. I pray to God Almighty to help each and every one of us here connect with the divine power within, and to experience the divine light of God within ourselves. I will be sitting for a few minutes. May the love and light of the three great spiritual masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj, and the gracious Master Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, help each and every one of us here to be able to experience the light and its effulgence. So we'll be sitting for a few minutes. I'll be getting you out of this meditative state at that time. And my best wishes are with each and every one of you. Please leave off. Please leave off.